Okay, welcome to this little video review lesson. We're going to talk about adding and subtracting integers. So as you work through the course content, you read about a few different ways to work with integers, a few different ways to conceptualize integers, whether that's with algebra tiles, with a number line. You can think about a thermometer. So those are all good kind of concrete representations of how we think about integers. What I'm going to show you in this video is just some ways that I think about integers where I don't necessarily use manipulative. So as we get further on into high school math, we don't want to be pulling out the algebra tiles or the number line every time. It's a good way to learn and a good way to kind of anchor our conceptions, but we want to start doing these things kind of in our head or doing them things kind of intuitively as we go. So if the thermometers and the number lines help for now, awesome. But I'm just going to show you the way I think about integers. And in particular today, we're going to review adding and subtracting integers and what to do when you have two signs in a row. So a sign in math is whether a number is positive or negative. The only number with no sign is actually 0. It's neither positive nor negative. So let's look at an example. If I have -3 plus +7, what I want to talk about today is that we can always simplify two signs that are in a row. So if I've got two positive signs, that just simplifies to a positive. I think that was my calculator crashing. We're definitely not going to need that in this lesson. So two positives will simplify to one positive. So I have -3 plus 7. Well, if we're -3 degrees outside and it warms up by 7, I'm now going to be at +4. And when our answer is positive, we don't need to, of course, write the plus sign in front of it. So two positives always simplify to a positive if you have two signs in a row. Again, I'm always curious whether, we live in Canada, so we're pretty used to positive and negative temperatures. I wonder if Canadian students are better at integers than students who live in parts of the world that either don't have negative temperatures or use Fahrenheit, where it's pretty rare to get into negatives. It would have to be really cold outside, like in the United States. Anyway, just something I'm curious about. I don't know the answer. Let's do a couple more examples. If I have 5 subtract +4, if my signs are different, so if I have a negative positive, again, anytime I see two signs in a row, if the signs are different, so a negative and a positive, I can just simplify to a negative. So I have 5 take away 4, and I'm left with 1. Let's just take a look at another example. -8 plus -3. Again, anytime I see two signs in a row, it helps me to rewrite that as a problem with only one sign. So I've got -8, and then I take away 3. So I'm either going to the left on the number line or getting 3 degrees colder. So I'm now at -11. And then one last example I will look at here. 13 take away -6. If I have two negatives, so if the signs are the same, that will simplify to a positive. So I'm left with 13 plus 6, which we know is 19. So one way it helps me as I'm working with integers is if I ever have two signs in a row, I try to reduce or simplify to only one sign. And the rule here is that if I have two signs that are the same, so either a positive, or a negative and a negative, anytime the signs are the same, that's going to simplify to a positive. And anytime the signs are different, so positive and negative, or negative and positive, that's going to simplify to a negative. And these may look familiar because these are the same rules that you've probably learned when you're multiplying and dividing integers, which I think is the next thing that we're going to do in this course. But it's the exact same pattern when we're reducing two signs to one. So that's the first thing I want to talk about in this video. The only other thing I wanted to go over quickly, adding positive numbers is something that we're very used to. So 7 plus 9 equals 16. I know all of us have been doing that maybe for 6 or 7 years. And we can do that in our heads pretty quickly. Putting together two negative numbers is also pretty straightforward. I start at -5, I take away 8, I'm going to be at -13. So in a way, when I have two negative numbers, I'm still adding them to find my magnitude, to find how big the number is, and then it will be, of course, negative. What sometimes can trip students up or can send them running to a calculator or to a number line is what happens when I have, for example, -7 plus 11, or conversely, if I have, 6 minus 15. So the way I like to conceive of these or think of these is the magnitude of the answer is going to be the difference between the two numbers. So the difference between 7 and 11 is 4, but the positive is bigger than the negative. So the positive outweighs the negative, so my answer will be 4. So that's just another way to maybe think about adding and subtracting integers. If the signs are different, my answer will be the difference between them, and then whichever is larger determines the sign. So because positive 11 outweighs the negative 7, well, then my answer is going to be in the positive. So that's just another way to think about these, maybe instead of a number line. Same thing here, I've got a positive 6. So if you don't see a sign in front of a number, we assume that it's positive. Remember that the sign in front of a number is part of that number. So we've got a positive 6, I've got a negative 15. If I'm adding them or combining those together, again, the magnitude of my answer is going to be 9, the difference in between 6 and 15. But this time the negative outweighs the positive, so my answer will take the sign of a negative. So I know we're probably pros and experts with working with integers, but these are kind of two tricks that I use or think about all the time, kind of become second nature to me as I move away from, for example, number lines and thermometers and algebra tiles to kind of doing these kind of in my head or on paper more instinctively. So those help me, and if they help you, great. And if not, keep on plugging. Okay, thanks for watching, and shoot me an email or comment on the video if you have any questions, concerns, or ideas. Okay, bye for now.